You are Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
That is one way to lose a basketball game. I will put it that way. I think that Nikola Jokic final shot from beyond the arc was a sign of the times, despite the fact that MPJ and Aaron Gordon were cooking. But the Denver Nuggets tonight, folks, that hurts. A 119-116 loss on the road on national television Friday night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Denver falls to 2-3 on the season. Minnesota at 3-2. And tough one. An absolutely tough one tonight for the Denver Nuggets. Welcome on in to your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are hanging in there. I don't want to, if you're out at the bars, get a drink, do what you got to do, and try to forget about this one, because that is trying to find the words, to be honest with you. And look, I'm not trying to overreact, but if you've listened to the last couple of postcasts, with the win against Toronto, the win against Brooklyn, I was talking to you about how, tonight's game was a very early gut check game, really kind of their second. I thought the opening night game against Oklahoma City was telling, and I was curious how Denver would respond against, yet another quality opponent. And frankly, at this point, their rival in the Minnesota Timberwolves. And they just fell short tonight, despite being up double digits in the fourth quarter. I'm going to run through some of the stats, and we'll break that down, because, if you're just blindly looking at the stats without a final score, you're probably wondering how much the Nuggets won by, just because of how they played throughout the course of the game, how they shot the ball tonight. MPJ, good game. Aaron Gordon, great game. Jokic doing Jokic things. And a lot to unpack here tonight on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. So make sure to like and subscribe, so that way you guys never miss an episode of your Locked On Nuggets postcast. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP. And tonight's episode of your Locked On Nuggets postcast is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. More from our friends over at FanDuel in just a little bit. But that is that's a gut punch. That is an absolute gut punch. Alejandro, my man, appreciate you tapping in. Man, usually I'm amped up to do all these post-game shows, but that's about as deflating as it gets. And let's just kind of get into some big picture stuff. We'll talk about the Jamal injury, because that was clear. I've got Michael Malone on my screen right now. He doesn't look too happy. I don't even know if the defense is necessarily bad, right? You had Anthony Edwards, who's one of, if not, I still think Jokic is the best player in the league. I don't think that's a question. But then it's Anthony Edwards, SGA, and kind of draw a line. You got a couple of other players as well that can fit that mold. Jason Tatum, if you want to go there. But Anthony Edwards hits a big-time three-point shot, and really this lead just kind of starts to dwindle for Denver. Let's take a look at some of the stats here real quick. If I may, I've got them pulled up. Yeah, Denver in the fourth quarter goes on a 25-3 run. A 25-3 run. Alejandro, my man, up 12 in the fourth. Appreciate the comments. And, they just ended up squandering this lead as Minnesota goes on a 15-2 run in the final 2 minutes and 34 seconds, including closing out 10-0. And you're missing Jamal Murray there at the end of the game. And I want to say some Jamal Murray thoughts more so for the second segment about, his impact. Obviously we hope all's okay with him. Kind of got clothesline there. You don't really hear the terms concussion protocol too often in the basketball world. That's usually a football or maybe even a hockey term. But that was the case here tonight with Jamal Murray. But I just felt like tonight, you could go one of two ways with this. You could go, it's a November game, doesn't matter, they'll bounce back. Or you can go, this team has some real problems. And I don't know if you guys, if any of you fans out there have had the chance to read the ESPN article that Ramona Shelburne put out I believe it was this morning, at least that's when I saw it, kind of talking about the butting of heads in the Nuggets front office between Calvin Booth and head coach Michael Malone, and the roster construction and just kind of everything that was going on, throughout the course of the offseason and really since they won a championship. And I don't want to get too deep into that minutia right now. I'll save some of those thoughts for the end of the show. But the Nuggets had no shooting. And I know that people want to get on Jamal Murray about, the conditioning's not there, right? He's up and down, a little hot and cold as a player. Tonight, you saw just why Jamal Murray is integral, essential to this Denver Nuggets team, because without him, Jokic, the second to last offensive possession, drives into the lane, probably should have gone up with the ball. I've seen a lot of those takes on social media, but what is Jokic's first instinct? And yes, maybe Joker has to realize that he doesn't have his top weapon out there. His first instinct is to pass, draw attention, and try to find a cutter or find an open jump shot on the outside. And you saw, Christian Braun, who had a phenomenal dunk. It's a shame that, that dunk is going to just kind of go down in a loss at the end of the day. But you saw Joker try to do what Joker does and create a shot, late there for somebody. We've seen Jokic arguably be the most aggressive form of himself throughout these first handful of games this season. And he passed it up. Christian Braun, contested layup attempt, doesn't go. And that's the end of the game, essentially. Joker gets, the ball back with 10 seconds after Rudy Gobert knocks down 2 clutch free throws. And I thought the fact that Joker got the ball and did not even look to pass, immediately went to the corner, dribble, little Sombor shuffle up for the 3 that fell short. To me, that says a lot about where Nikola Jokic's head is at, folks. That tells me a lot, because 9 times out of 10, Joker is not taking that shot. 9 times out of 10, that plays out completely different, with Jokic kind of taking control, signaling with the hands, trying to get some guys to, move around, find an open player, find an open cutter. They did need a 3, but the fact that Nikola Jokic was the one that took the last shot, not that I have not that I'm upset at that, but the fact that he did it, which is really in the fashion in which he did it, got the ball, didn't even really look to make a move, immediately to the corner, step back, fade away for the 3, misses, game over. That kind of sums up this early stretch of games, in my opinion, for the Denver Nuggets. And like I said, for Michael Porter Jr. to have a great game, for Aaron Gordon to go, 5 of 7, I believe, from 3. I'll put the stats here after the commercial break, and we'll go through those. And for you to lose this game, blowing a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, allowing Minnesota to go on a 10-0 run, your rival, the team that beat you on your home court in a Game 7 last year, it's a problem. It's a problem. I will read into this loss. This is not one like Oklahoma City. I was kind of able to cast to the side a little bit, right? Clippers, I was able to kind of cast to the side. All right, it's like this is a loss that I feel like is telling about just how apparent the Denver Nuggets struggles are. And we'll have to see how it kind of goes from here. But, Westbrook minus 13. We'll talk about that here in the second half. We're letting Joker down. We get some comments. And guys, I really appreciate all of your feedback. I'm the host. You guys help me drive the show. So go ahead and get involved in the comment section. Yeah, they are letting Joker down. 110% they're letting Nikola Jokic down. And I was reading that article. Again, if you have not read this article from ESPN, go read it. It's a full-length feature. Like, this thing will probably take you 10 to 15 minutes to get through. And you realize that just the support players, Jeff Green, gone. Bruce Brown, gone. KCP, gone. You see a lot of these role players being plucked away, and what's left? This same core that outside of Nikola Jokic might be a little overhyped. And I understand that Jamal Murray is great. I just started out the show telling you how essential he is to Denver's success, in particular down the stretch. Jamal Murray plays in the second half, they probably win this game. But their lack of shooting and the stubbornness is, I guess, what I can call it, of having to develop these young guys. The bench was abysmal tonight. Russell Westbrook, was okay in the fourth quarter. Julian Strawther, where are you at? Right? And I don't want to put the weight of the world on Julian Strawther's shoulders, but when you don't have KCP and you don't have Bruce Brown and Christian Brown's in the starting lineup, everybody's expectation goes up. And this is exactly what Calvin Booth wanted. Exactly what Calvin Booth wanted. And this is the result. Growing pains, I guess we can call them from now. So like I said, it's early in the season. I don't think it's time to sound the alarm, but this is something that I'll personally read into, because that is a game that Denver 100% should have won, specifically if they want to try to get back to an NBA Finals. And they didn't. So we'll see how it all shakes out. That's my opening monologue. I'm going to hit a quick break, guys. When we come back, we'll continue along the conversation. Let's go into some of these stats because some of them will blow your mind. Should have been a victory show. Should have been a good night for the Denver Nuggets. But unfortunately, they lose tonight to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Your final score, 119-116, after a couple of days off as well. And that's the way the cookie crumbles tonight, folks. So we'll hit a quick break, come back, and continue along with the conversation. Appreciate you guys tapping in. Alejandro, my man, appreciate the comments. All of you guys get involved. Let me know how you're feeling. Where's your nervousness on a scale of 1 to 10? What is your biggest takeaway from the game here tonight? Let me know in the comments. I'll push some of them up on the screen. We'll have a decent time here tonight on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Stick with me, folks. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, do live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And guys, I say it every time I do the reads, I'm an active FanDuel user. Absolutely love FanDuel Sportsbook. I know you will too. If you're looking to get some money down on some of these games, if you bet the Nuggets tonight, I'm sorry. If you baited the Nuggets and bet the Timberwolves, congratulations. You probably got a great live price in the middle of the game as well. But all in all, guys, make sure to check out our friends over at FanDuel and let them know that Locked On Nuggets sent you. Okay, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are hanging in there out there as the Denver Nuggets suffer a brutal loss tonight to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They do lose Jamal Murray in the middle of the game in the third quarter there to concussion protocol. And we'll dive into that and some specific statistics in this segment of your Locked On Nuggets postcast. So appreciate you guys rocking with me. And one favor to ask as well, make sure you can follow me on social media at Media by AP. But make sure to subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you guys never, ever miss an episode of your Locked On Nuggets postcasts. I'm also the host of the Locked On Buffs and Broncos shows. So we'll have a Broncos show coming up for you on Sunday afternoon as they get ready to take on the Baltimore Ravens. But this is the Nuggets show. So let's continue along with a little Denver Nuggets basketball here. And I mentioned it. I kind of teased it there in the first quarter. If you would have showed me these stats, I would have asked how much the Nuggets were going to win by. Aaron Gordon had a phenomenal game tonight. +8 in the box plus minus, 31 points, a steal, 2 assists, 11 rebounds, and 5 for 7 from 3. I've said it, pretty much every show so far throughout the course of the season that if Aaron Gordon can continue to develop his outside shot and just be a little bit of a threat from beyond the arc, it's going to pay huge dividends for the Denver Nuggets throughout the course of this season, in particular with their lack of outside shooting due to the departure of KCP, the insertion of Christian Brown. Russell Westbrook's not an outside shooter. Lord knows Russell Westbrook's not an outside shooter. And Julian Strawther's still coming into his own as a pro. Peyton Watson's not an outside shooter. And, so Aaron Gordon, great game tonight. Michael Porter Jr., his best game of the season. He was a -5 in the box plus minus, but he put up 26 points. He had 2 steals. He had 4 assists. He had 6 rebounds. He was 3 of 7 from beyond the arc and 11 of 18 from the field. I mean, that's what you're looking for on a game in and game out basis from Michael Porter Jr. I mean, if that's what MPJ is going to give you, this Nuggets team might have a chance. But the reason why I'm saying that I'm reading into this loss tonight is because he did do that, and Aaron Gordon popped off on offense more than he normally does, and it still wasn't enough. I'm not sounding the alarms, but yikes, that is a tough way to lose a basketball game. Jokic doing Jokic things, 26 points, 3 steals, 13 assists, a rebound shy of a triple-double with 9. He was 8 of 10 from the charity stripe, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, the lone miss being that final shot in the game, which they had to have. And imagine 3 straight overtime games. That would be a nightmare. And 8 of 16 from the field. Jamal Murray only played 22 minutes tonight. Wasn't super effective in those minutes. 6 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds for Jamal. 0 of 3 from 3, so definitely something to keep an eye on from there. And, labor some 2 of 7 from the field as well. Christian Brown was great, though. He had 14 points, plus 13 in the box, plus minus. 2 assists, 7 rebounds, 5 of 11 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep. That's what you expect from Christian Braun as kind of the fifth guy in that starting rotation. So, not a lot to complain about from there. But what is crazy is Christian Braun took Rudy Gobert to the cellars with that ferocious, through contact dunk. The Timberwolves thrived more off that energy than the Nuggets did. And there was a little bit of a scuffle after the dunk with Gobert doing Gobert things, like didn't put him in a headlock or anything, but kind of wrapped his arm around CB's head. CB giving the, like all pumped up, right? I mean, which that's what CB does, but I'm sure any player would be pumped up when you dunk over a multi-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year. And it felt like from that moment on, instead of the Nuggets sensing the momentum and sensing the juice from Christian Braun, the Timberwolves played with a pissed off attitude. And here's what I got to say as well. I'm seeing a lot of comments on Twitter as the game is winding down and as soon as the game is over that, Minnesota's getting away with so much contact down low. The Nuggets aren't getting these calls. Don't let the refs. You blew a double-digit lead, folks. You blew a double-digit lead. What was it? Physical down the stretch? Sure. I'm okay with it, to be honest with you. I think there needs to be more physicality in the NBA right now. But yeah, Christian Braun just absolutely bodied him down the stretch, and Minnesota just said, all right, like that woke him up. It was like their version of smelling salts. From that moment on, and I got the highlight on my screen right here. I'm watching the Altitude postgame show. Minnesota just wanted it more straight up. And those last handful of offensive possessions for the Denver Nuggets were just like disgusting to watch. Just no ball movement. Russell Westbrook lets one ball go out of bounds. Christian Braun gets stuff at the rim. The Jokic 3. I mean, like without Jamal Murray there, and like I said, love him or hate him, not frustrated at Jamal. You're seeing just why he's so essential. And I know that there's a lot of people that, have some complaints with Michael Porter Jr. and the contract. I know he's not worth it, this and that. He was a ghost late. He was a ghost. I mean, what else is there to say? The fact that Nikola Jokic did not look for Michael Porter Jr. on that final play of the game when you needed a 3-point shot says a lot. And I don't remember it off the top of my head. Maybe they were doubling MPJ for that reason. But what else is there to say? So good night from the starters tonight. Here's a couple of other mind-boggling stats from this game tonight, folks. Minnesota was very effective from the field, 51.8% to Denver's 44.6%. They also outshot Denver from the three-point department, 42.9%, which is very, very high. They were 18 for 42, Denver 11 for 32 for about just under a tick, 35% from beyond the arc, which is fine if you're the Nuggets, to be honest with you. But I think here's what's kind of crazy to me. Denver nearly won the rebound battle by 10. Denver had 46 rebounds to Minnesota's 38. Denver had 30 turnovers to Minnesota's 34, so Minnesota has the edge out there. 11 steals for Denver compared to 8 for Minnesota. The Timberwolves had 17 turnovers to the Nuggets' 15. So you're checking off a lot of these boxes that typically leads to success. So what is the difference? They froze. That's what happened. That's the issue here with the Denver Nuggets is when the lights were the brightest, they look to their superstar, who's I'm sure a little bit flabbergasted, a little bit flustered. He's never going to really show it outwardly. He's made some comments here or there, but they were unable to get the job done. And again, Denver went on a 25-3 run in the fourth quarter. 25-3 run in the fourth quarter, up double digits with less than double digits left to play on the clock in the fourth quarter. You even saw at one point Jokic kind of like dribbling the ball in on the baseline and kind of telling Russ, like, don't touch it. Like, let's bleed some clock here. And even like the little magician tricks from the Joker weren't even enough. And again, it's frustrating. It's one game. It's early. It's November 1st. Yeah. That's a game you can't lose. That's a game you can't lose. That's a game that we'll look back on, not necessarily in regards to maybe playoff seeding or anything like that, but when you see what this team is made of. Now, when you see what this team is made of, good point from Alejandro here. The Nuggets were always resilient. Now, I don't know. You know what that was? That was a Nug life, not a Nug life loss. That was a Nug life loss where you're in it, you're up big, you blow it, and now it's like you're kind of just left with this bitter taste in your mouth. But That's how, that's how it goes tonight, folks. That's all she wrote for the Denver Nuggets. So let me hit my final break. We'll come back, put a bow on the show as the Denver Nuggets unfortunately losing tonight, 119 to 116. Final break, come back, some closing thoughts right here on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Stick with me, folks. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Game Time real quick. Game Time Picks. Let me tell you about that because Game Time is my personal favorite place to get all of my tickets for sporting events, and Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. Some of my personal favorite features, I just told you about Game Time Picks, where curation makes it easier to save even more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. They're all in pricing. When you toggle this feature on the app or the website, it shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy with their seat viewer. And the lowest ticket price guarantee or Game Time will credit you not just 100% of the difference, but 110% of the difference. Plus, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms, they do apply, but again, create an account and redeem with code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is game time. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I am your host, Aniello Piro. You guys can follow me on social media at Media by AP. Appreciate all the fans and supporters that have, popped in and out throughout the course of the show here tonight. A frustrating loss for all of Nuggets Nation out there, but, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. I'm sure there'll be a couple of epic wins, hopefully more than a couple, hopefully a handful of epic wins for the Denver Nuggets throughout the course of this season. But tonight, it just did not go their way. Spent some time talking about the starters, the stats, the overall impact of this game. But let's take a look at the bench. I wanted to save this for last just because it's hard to look at, to be honest with you. Dario Saric only played 5 minutes tonight, 0 points, -11, 2 rebounds. That's it. Hunter Tyson got in the game there for, about 6 minutes or so, couple of points. That's it. But the three main guys that you're looking for production off of the bench, Peyton Watson -9, Russell Westbrook -13, Julian Strawther -13. Let's start with Peyton Watson. 2 points, a steal, a rebound. That's it. 1 of 6 from the field, 0 of 2 from deep. I've said it again. This is what Calvin Booth wanted. This is Calvin Booth's vision. This is, the big picture thinking of Calvin Booth that we have to develop. And you know what? There was a great point made in the ESPN article that I read this morning from Ramona Shelburne. She did a great job. Again, go check that out. Where the one team in real recent memory that you can kind of compare to what the Nuggets are trying to do is the Golden State Warriors, which is, trying to draft and develop, high-level talent while extending and parlaying that with the Hall of Fame trajectory and career of a guy like Steph Curry. How's that worked out for Golden State? You tell me. How do you think Golden State's doing? We've seen the results. And again, you got to have to just kind of sit back and see how it all shakes out. We'll have to see how it all. Shap wrote a good article as well. That's my dog, man. Go check him out on the Fan. He does a good job, and he's got the takes. That's for sure. Hate to say this, but this one's on Jokic. Yeah, maybe a little bit with the aggressiveness, but I also just thought the lack of flow in the offense was terrible. But point being, what I was talking about is, I've said it on every show, it is a disservice not to surround Nikola Jokic with as much talent as humanly possible. I saw a podcast on The Ringer today that was also talking about how they're just wasting him. And, well, yes, could Jokic have been more aggressive there at the end on that second to last possession? Sure. I'm not going to disagree with that. But at the end of the day, there is a devoid of outside shooting, and there has been since the offseason. We knew there was even kind of a devoid of that at the end of last year. We knew this was going to be a major issue. We knew that moving Christian Brown up to the starting lineup was going to be a roll of the dice because of your lack of thump on the bench, for lack of a better phrase. And tonight, the bench was abysmal. Again, Russell Westbrook, 5 points, -13, 5 of 6, 6 rebounds. So, he was, filling up the stat sheet there a little bit. 0 for 3 from 3, 1 of 8 from the field. Come on, guys. Julian Strawther, 4 points, -13, a rebound, an assist, a steal. 0 of 2 from 3, 1 of 4 from the field in 16 minutes played. How are you going to win games this way? How are you going to win games this way, especially when Jamal Murray goes down? They are a Jamal Murray significant injury away from this season being cooked. And going back to 2020, 2019 era Denver Nuggets basketball, where it's Jokic versus the world, which would be such a frustrating step back. I'm seeing Jokic here speaking with the media. I wish I could hear what he's saying. Probably nothing crazy, but it's a problem. So I encourage all of you to go read the article from Ramona Shelburne at ESPN. Also, if you want to check out Shap's article over at denverfan.com, that's my boy. Shap and I think, have been doing this Nugget stuff. Not together, but we've been in the media together for probably almost a decade now, believe it or not. I met Shap when he was in college and I was in high school, starting out with Mile High Sports. So always a good cosign for my boy, Jake Shapiro. Does a great job. And he's a very intelligent, guy. He knows his Denver Nuggets basketball. He's got some good contacts in the organization. I actually haven't read it yet. So I think I'm going to hop off now and go read it myself and see what Shap had to say. And I highly suggest that you do too. But, kind of in conclusion tonight, game the Nuggets should have had. And I understand that people want to point to Jokic and say, he should have been more aggressive. Minnesota was fouling down the stretch, whatever. The Nuggets' flaws are apparent. And tonight in a game that you probably should have won, all of those issues become more and more and more apparent. Let's see. We got a comment here. To answer the last question on your panel queue, it was in the locker room in concussion protocol. Yeah, no, we knew that Jamal was that. JV, I'm chill, brother. If you don't think I'm chill right now, you should see me. Give me till March. This is actually like 2 out of 10 AP. This is 2 out of 10 AP. I'm not freaking out. I'm just saying their problems are valid. Does anybody see this just getting better? Does anybody see just Julius Randle figuring it out? Maybe I think he's probably the guy that's most likely to. I think Russell Westbrook is Russell Westbrook. I think, Peyton Watson, I like the skill set. I like the size, but I think we've yet to really see it on a consistent basis. And here's the only reason not to chill out tonight. These stats. Again, I know Minnesota shot the ball very effectively, 51% from the field, 42.9% from beyond the arc. Denver won the rebound battle. Denver won the turnover battle. 2 critical departments, and they went on a 25-3 run, man. I mean, a 25-3 run, double-digit lead at the end. Christian Brown taking Rudy Gobert to the cellar. I mean, it had all the fixings for a big-time victory against your rival. That's the other part. Against the team that took you out of the playoffs last year. Against the team that made the Boston Celtics feel comfortable about their ability to win an NBA Finals. You remember what Jason Tatum said? Once Denver got knocked out, we knew we had it. Something along those lines. Come on, man. That's a salty game. Salty loss tonight for the Denver Nuggets. So I'll leave it at that. We'll see what happens with Jamal Murray. I haven't seen anything crazy. They do play tomorrow, so I would imagine that if he does have a concussion, or maybe even just to be careful, he might not play tomorrow against the Utah Jazz. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But guys, want to thank you so much for tuning into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Always a blast to do these shows, even though it was a defeat-loss show tonight. A good game nonetheless. Aaron Gordon, good game. Michael Porter Jr., good game. Joker, an assist away from a triple-double. A lot to like tonight about how Denver performed, but ultimately they came up short. A win is a win, a loss is a loss, and tonight it is a loss for the Denver Nuggets, your final score, 119-116. But guys, you can follow me on social at Media by AP. Make sure to subscribe to your Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel so that way you guys never miss an episode of your postcast. And we'll see if Denver can bounce back tomorrow against the Utah Jazz. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll talk to you guys soon.